So today we will be building a Minecraft server inside this Minecraft baby Foxlight. Let's start by opening it. And before we begin, this video is a giveaway. I'm going to give away this exact Minecraft server, including lamp and Raspberry Pi, to one of you guys watching right now. So like and subscribe already now, and stay to the end of the video to learn how to be part of the giveaway. Let's begin. So here it is, the Minecraft baby Foxlight. Let me just start by opening up here to check actually how much light it gives off. So I'm putting in some normal AAA batteries here. Looks quite nice. Let's see if I can turn off my studio lights. Yeah, I would say this is a pretty decent light. Quite nice for background with that sort of warm orange light. We obviously will not be using these batteries, so let me take them out. And the first step is to figure out how to open this one up. I'd like to remove this bottom side completely so that we can put things inside it. Let's get some tools. So my first idea here is just to open this with a knife. Like, let's cut out the glue that are all in these corners. Doesn't really seem to be working as good as I intended. Here is also really glued around the power button. Okay, so I have another idea. I just grabbed a small cutter and a plier, and I started pulling out basically the bottom from the Fox. It's quite well glued and obviously not meant to be disassembled by anyone, so I'm just going to throw away this bottom part. I'm gonna 3D print a new bottom anyways. And yeah, I think this is the only way, basically. Cue the rest of this cutting montage. So that's about it. And here you can see the battery holders. Sort of made it out alive. The small button to turn the lights on and off. And then here are the LEDs, the lights inside actually. I sadly happened to break one of them. But I think the rest should be all okay, and I will save them to be used inside the finished Fox. So let me just trim off these last edges here. And that's it. Quite nice and clean, if you ask me. So, I said this will be a Minecraft server, but what actually will we put inside this lamp to make it a server? We will put a Raspberry Pi. This is specifically a Model 4B, and I just happen to have one with 1 GB of RAM lying around at home. So this is the cheapest model, basically. And we'll see how well we can get it to run Minecraft. I've read online that it's not recommended to have a 1 GB of RAM for a server, but it's just gonna be for fun. I think it's gonna be working out pretty well, actually. My idea is to place it inside right here. I've sort of moved it around and checked that it could potentially fit in some other angles as well, but here makes the most sense. It's a pretty square area, fits perfectly. Yeah, this is the intention. I sort of want to keep this opening here so that the cable can go outside. in the original place, and basically so that I don't have to make another hole in the Fox. But let's start with creating the new bottom plate. And I'll do that by just actually sketching around on a piece of paper the outline here of the Fox. Like that, you can see, very nice. And then the next step is to put some measurement on this, like this. So let me just fast forward while I measure everything. And let's get 3D modeling. So I've now jumped into Onshape, which is my 3D modeling tool of choice, or CAD I should call it. And I'll just start by importing that picture I took. Not actually gonna put it to scale or anything like that, just to have it for reference inside the program. And then I will sketch out the outline like this. Right now, just to my best ability, and then I will use the measurements I did later to make this accurate. So you can see I added the measurements here to the design. And this, I mean, doesn't look too far off. But off camera, basically, I did some more measurements to make them more accurate. And I will just add them right now to really get that shape of the Fox in there completely. And there we go. So let's make this into an actual object and then export it and get to printing. I'll slice it using my Qidi slicer, as I have a 3D printer that comes from the brand Qidi. And I'll just print it here with the quick setting to try it out real quick. With 3D printing, there's always some iterations to be done anyways. But yeah, let's print. So here we go. I had to make a few iterations, just as I thought, just minor tweaks to the initial design. But this one seems to fit quite well. You can see here. Very nice. So this means that I now have this shape that I can work with. The Raspberry Pi will go in there. And the problem now is just for the cable to go out the back. Because as you can see, the USB-C power port is here on the, let's call it the front. So to get it out the back, either I have to flip it around or need to make another hole on the other side here, which I want to avoid. I could also place it upside down, but it doesn't really seem to be the most reasonable way. And this original Raspberry Pi power plug is kind of bulky anyways, so it doesn't really fit in there. I could put it like this on the side, but I wouldn't really want to do that. So actually, my solution to this was to go on Amazon, and I found these 180-degree adapters that basically makes it possible to turn the USB plug around. So with the magic of some video editing, it just arrived in the mail. And instead of sticking out on the front like this, I can now plug in the little adapter. And lead the cable out on the back like this. Super nice. So, moving on to test fitting this. Pi goes here with the adapter. And then we have the lights. I guess I won't be needing this battery pack anymore, so let's remove that. My idea is to connect it here to the pins on the Raspberry Pi that actually can output 5 volts, which is perfect as the original power was 3 regular batteries, which together is 4.5 volts, so it should be working perfectly. But let's get rid of this one. And let's see how I will place this. I think probably something like this to light up the entire Fox. But this part here in the front is quite shallow, so maybe it will not fit in really as well as I planned. I think I will just put it in a straight line like this. Yeah, I think this will be the best solution. Let's jump into Onshape. So back into Onshape, I will make a bit of a holder to hold the LEDs using those screw holes that they were mounted with originally. But yeah, nothing special, just making a flat holder like this with some screw holes. This will be easy enough to print out. Then I will start making a holder for the Raspberry Pi so that I can mount it with screws, and then also glue that, glue this plate to the other bottom plate. So don't have to reprint everything all the time. I mean, there's iterations involved in this. It's nice to have some modularity. And actually, I was just about to be finished with that holder, but I realized that it would interfere with the USB plug. So I'll make this other design that just has 2 of these screw mounts and make them a bit more rigid as well. And then the last part to be designed is just a bit of a, let's call it a tower maybe, to hold the LED bracket. So that means all the 3D design is done, and let's just throw them into the slicer and send them to the printer and let it print. So all is printed. Let's now prep to mount everything. So I will start with the LEDs. Just screw them into place here in the LED bracket. And then the next one. And the last one. There we go. Over to the Raspberry Pi. Just mounting it here with the 2 screws. And yeah, it is pretty tight in there. So it will now go here onto the bottom plate. So let's mark the spot for the Raspberry Pi and then put some super glue onto the frame. I'll just use a little bit here to make it not too sticky. And there we go. Let that dry, and then moving on to the LED bracket. So it will be placed here together with the little tower that we printed to keep it up above the Raspberry Pi. And I'll start with gluing the tower to the bracket like this. I'm just holding it into place until it's dried. And then I will place it right here and also glue it to the base plate. It's really nice with super glue. It dries so fast, so you barely have to wait. Now it is time to plug in the power cable using this adapter. And I will also plug in an SD card, a micro SD card, so that actually everything will be good to go after I've mounted the Raspberry Pi. It will be a bit finicky, so I don't want to have to unscrew it and redo everything later to plug in the SD card. So in with those two screws. And then here goes the power cables for the LEDs. So I just added these two jumper cables that I had lying around and fixed them to the old cables that were coming with the lamp. And I'll add them to these pins on the Raspberry Pi, one for power and one for ground. And I also kept the button so that I can turn on and off the lamps if I would like to. I'll use a little bit of tape to protect the open wires so that nothing shorts out. And then we are actually done. Let's put the top back on, see that everything fits. Let's do a test plug-in just to see if wires and LEDs still work. So here we are, everything mounted. As you can see, I actually tested this off camera and moved one of the LEDs to the front a little bit. I felt like it was a bit too close to the ceiling of the insides, so it didn't really light up very nicely. But otherwise, this is how it looks with that white base plate that we printed. Otherwise, it's just a Fox and the cable coming out from the back side. I decided not to use that original wire holder because it didn't fit anymore. And also it doesn't really matter that much because it will be on the back side. So let's turn it on. And let me turn off the studio lights as well so you can see it. There we go. It's really glowing very nicely. And yeah, project is completed. Well, except for installing the Minecraft server on the Raspberry Pi and starting everything up. But I think I'll save that for another video, as this one is getting a bit long already. I'll link the new video below as soon as it is ready. As promised, I will give away this whole project to one of you, and all you need to do is like and subscribe, and then comment down below what other project you would like to see me doing. It can be anything in electronics, computers, gaming, or 3D printing. I'll name the winner in a month from publishing this video. So make sure you don't miss out. That was it for today. Ciao for now.